Hi guys, and welcome to the Lowland League catch-up. It is myself, Rampant FM, back this week with Mozza. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good, mate. How's you?
Great. Good to be back, both of us. It's been a few weeks. Just before we get into the games, Mozza, I know everyone's been asking me, and obviously you've had questions yourself, when is your Lowland League database going to be out for FM? Not putting pressure on you.
The question is when the FM editor starts playing ball, basically. I've done most of the work already for it. The issue I'm having is with the East of Scotland League, with the league reconstruction. But I'll get a file out by Monday. So by the time you listen to this, there should be an initial file out there for testing. And I'll just, once it's all been tested and everyone's fine with it, I'll add a wee bit of detail and that'll be it good to go. So by the end of next week or this week when you're listening to it, we should have a full release out there.
Brilliant, fantastic, mate. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me. I think obviously because I helped you somewhat with the squads and that, people think I'm helping you with it, but obviously it's just your work. I mean, I'm looking forward to it more than anyone, mate, because obviously I'll probably do my realignment and bigger leagues and whatnot, so it'll be a bit more of a fantasy one. But I know a lot of the Lowland League fans are looking forward to it.
I should point out any queries or any kind of comments on the player ratings, please do feel free to message Rampant about them. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to take your comments on board. So,
well, it's interesting you say that because I'm actually going to release a video once it's out about possibly the Lowland League club's best players and whatnot. So I'm pretty sure if any of the players watching will see it, they might have a few questions, and I'll redirect.
I'm sure you'll tell me beforehand, and we'll sort it.
I'll redirect them back to you, mate. So, fantastic week for Lowland League again. Some of the results, I think I said on Twitter, it was hard to pick a match for feature of the week or whatever, who goes top of the bill. I'm literally going to go with the early kickoff because it was really hard. I know a lot of clubs, I've been asked before, like, how do you get top of the bill and all that sort of stuff. But right, we do have one fixture that was postponed, the old weather watch coming into winter now. Dalbeattie Star versus BSC Glasgow was postponed due to what I heard was a bit of a storm.
Yeah, I believe the phrase was horizontal rain, so that kind of tells you how wild it was. But yeah, it's just one of these things. You expect at this time of year the weather's going to start turning, but no doubt they'll get it rearranged in pretty good time and go from there.
Yeah, and just on that note, I noticed a lot of our colleagues, Craig Edwards and Alistair, were caught up in some of the games over the Lowland League, and the weather wasn't particularly great at them either. So,
good old-fashioned Scottish football's back.
Great. We'll start with, as I say, the early kick-off. It was Whitehill Welfare versus Vale of Leven. Kyle Mitchell with the free kick into the box, with Sean Lally there with the header putting Whitehill Welfare up in 8 minutes. Vale were down to 10 men with David Bonner sent off for a rash challenge from behind on Kyle Mitchell just before half time on 41 minutes. The second half kind of lit up a wee bit. Lyle Smith with a cracking free kick equalised for Vale in the 59th minute, and Kyle Mitchell put Whitehill Welfare ahead again on the 75th minute. He controlled the ball and hammered it home after Liam McIntosh's shot went off the post. Whitehill Welfare did have a goal disallowed in the 86th minute. It wasn't given. Mark Malloy was flagged for offside, and a bit of a heartbreak moment for Whitehill Welfare. 89th minute, it was a goal for Vale. Paul Dixon header at the back post from a corner. Very, very tough game. Although they got a point out of it, I'm sure Whitehill Welfare would have wanted the win there. Very, very tough fixture against Vale.
You've got to feel for them. You really do, because we've said it week in, week out recently that they need to find their first 3 points from somewhere in a while and get moving. And it looked like they had it. They were so close. They had everything in their favour. They'd actually gone away to Vale, bear in mind, which is no easy place to go this season. We know what they're capable of in terms of goal scoring. And getting them down to 10 men, being 2-1 up, getting flagged offside with less than 5 minutes to go 2 goals to the good, and then conceding in the last minute, it's an absolute heartbreaker for them. But it shows you that, like, they're not done and dusted just yet. Welfare's got plenty of plenty of talent still there that they can go ahead and get some points on the board. So do not count them out. But when it comes to Vale of Leithen, yet again, there's a game with 4 or more goals in it. So anyone who's going to watch them is pretty much guaranteed entertainment. Now that I've said that, it'll be 0-0 the next game, but it's been a while since a league has had a team like that. I think there's just genuine entertainment every single week.
Yeah, I mean, it's a struggle for Whitehill Welfare. I think they need to be reminded at how good Whitehill Welfare are in terms of what they've done in the past. 16 times East of Scotland champions. They're more than capable at it. It's just, I just don't think they've had the luck at the moment. I mean, they seem to be playing a lot better from where they were at the start of the season, but they're just not getting the run of the green, really, are they?
No, it's one of these things that everything seems to be going against them just now. But on the plus side, Kyle Mitchell chipping in with a couple of goals. He's a guy that is more than capable in this league, going and putting the ball in the back of the net. So it's good to see him hitting the goal trail now. And even though they did kind of lose that right at the death, you suspect that with the squad they've got, if they've been battling through and they had that there, they'll be desperate to get that first win now, especially after having it taken away from them in those kind of circumstances. So, like once they get a win there, then there's no doubt that they could like kick on and get a few more points and really make life more interesting down the foot of the table.
They're one game away from playing like half their season's fixtures. They've played more games than any team in the league, I think. Only 5 points from 13 games. Dalbeattie 3 points ahead of them with 2 games in hand. I know Dalbeattie we spoke about it last time I was on the show, but they've got a lot of tough fixtures coming up as well. So they're not out of sight for Whitehill to catch Dalbeattie, certainly. As I said, Whitehill, a team I really respect. If you just look at their history and whatnot, they're certainly good enough for the Lowland League. They just need to pick themselves up, and it is difficult, especially when you are down there and you're looking at the league table and you're thinking, where are we going to get the win? But certainly against Edinburgh Uni and certainly against Vale of Leithen, they've been very, very unlucky.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I mean, it's not ideal, obviously, at this stage of the season, being bottom. But having said that, 3 points, I know Dalbeattie's got a couple of tough games in hand that, they might get a point or two. We'll just wait and see what happens. But as soon as Welfare get a win, that's what they need to kick on, because it's getting a wee bit late now just to pick up the odd point here or there. They need something to get them going. And the longer they go winless, the harder it's going to be for them. So it'll be interesting to see if... basically kind of we discussed earlier on before we started recording that next week's a cup week, so whether they can freshen up with a week away from league business and get right back to it, and just they badly need that win. It just comes down to that, simple as.
Well, we've seen, I mean, in fairness, we've seen a lot of teams this season on the Lowland League who have not started out great, but they've started picking up momentum, and I'm sure we'll get into the teams, going through the fixtures, but it can be turned around, and certainly they just need that win for momentum, and I think they'll hopefully push on. As I said, they're such a great club. Going through their community club, fantastic ground, fantastic support. So we're hoping for the best. It's not easy. Being positive about a team that's struggling, but we try our best. Obviously, we don't want to slate them too badly or whatever, But then
the flip side is, you look at Vale of Leithen, because last year they were very much in a similar position, that they were towards the foot of the table the whole season and they dragged themselves away at the very end. And it can be just a matter of a couple of different personnel coming in. So January might well be really important for Welfare. But Vale of Leithen are very similar in that they're a good community club with a bit of history behind them. They've done the right things, they've got the right changes in place, and there they are. They're still not out of trouble, it's important to say, because they're only 10 points clear of where Welfare are just now.
Yep.
But the way they're playing and the way they're always capable of getting the ball in the back of the net, you'd seem to kind of say they're reasonably safe.
Yep.
If Welfare can make a couple of changes that will improve them, there's no reason why they couldn't be absolutely fine and dandy this season.
Definitely, mate. We'll get into the next game. East Kilbride 2, Eastern Luncher 0. It was the Rocksport match of the week. half time 0-0. In fact, the next few fixtures, I'll say this now, and I was obviously commented by the Lowland League Twitter. A lot of these games came alive in the second half. Half time 0-0. It was East Kilbride that took the lead with a great through ball by Anton Brady, who released Paul Woods for the opener. And unfortunately for them, they conceded a second one. It was a superb goal from Craig Malcolm, hitting home from close range to make it 2. And just a note on this game, Chris Folds from East Stirlingshire was assessed an injury towards the end of the game, and he was released from hospital after the confirmed ankle ligament damage, but luckily no break, so we want to wish him the very best there. But weather watch again, apparently the wind might have dropped, but it had been replaced by monsoon-like rain, I heard someone say. So yep, it's a shame for East Stirlingshire because they have picked up. We've talked about teams maybe changing their form, and they've picked up, and it sounded to me like they gave East Kilbride the game. They were probably perhaps unlucky that East Kilbride are quite a clinical team in terms of getting results at times.
Yeah, I think like when you look at the two squads on paper, obviously you would kind of put the focus on Kilby as being the stronger of the two, because Shire are quite threadbare when you look at the players they've got. There's not too much in behind, but on the flip side, they've got young boys that are going to get a chance because of that. But when you look at the likes of Chris Folds, they can't really afford to get anyone like that injured. So it's a real shame for the club and for the player as well. And like you say, we obviously wish the best for him to hopefully get back as soon as possible. But it's absolutely no disgrace for Shire to go to K Park, a ground that most teams kind of struggle when they get off the bus, never mind halfway through the game. And it sounds like they gave Kilby a proper game. It was just clinical finishing, ultimately, that was the difference. And some interesting weather, shall we say. But it's a welcome return to form for East Kilbride. We said last week that they really need to get that out of their system, the loss, and get back moving, and they've managed to do that. So fair play to them. And I noticed they've still not got a manager, which is interesting. So David Proctor's returned from Airdrie to shore up the defence and give a bit of cover there. But I think they need to get a main man in the hot seat as the second half of the season approaches.
I think so. It's interesting that they've made a few moves. I think I can't remember the boy's name, but they've got a young Motherwell striker on loan at them as well. So they're certainly bolstering up the squad, even when they've not got a manager. But it seems to be working at the moment, and they're certainly still in the hunt for another Lowland League title. Well, speaking of clinical finishing, it was Cumbernauld Colts at Broadwood. They were beat 4-1 by Gretna 2008. What an amazing result from Gretna. We were speaking earlier about teams that probably didn't really start the season off well, but Gretna, I think that's probably perhaps their best performance of the season, and they're certainly now climbing up the league. As I say, it was one of the ones that they came straight into the second half. It was Dan Fitzpatrick on the 51st minute. Colts did return the favour and got a break from a Gretna corner. Craig Henderson finishing to make it 1-1. It was Michael McInespy who made it. He got a brace to make it 2-1 and basically get the third as well. And it was Stuart Gray right at the end of the game, sort of thing, to make it 4-1 Gretna. What a result for Gretna. I mean, they've been playing really well recently. I mean, I think we didn't have much to say about them at the start of the season. Obviously, we've talked about their reliance on Big Kev Connolly, but they're doing really well, and they're letting us know, which I always appreciate as well. So quite rightly, what a result that is.
It's a cracking result for them. It's the one that jumped out to me from this weekend, certainly. And like you say, I think it is their best result of the season, given that that's... but it's actually moved them away from what we were just discussing at the start, at the bottom of the table. It's given them a wee bit of breathing space up towards the middle of the pack. But on the flip side, it's a little bit worrying now for the Colts, because they had a really good start to the season. And now that's 4 games on the bounce that they've not won. BSC Glasgow, the doubleheader in League and Cup, and then they got beat away at Edinburgh University before this one as well. So the last 2 games if you're a Colts follower, you'd have probably fancied your chances of getting kind of 4-6 points out of it. So it's a little bit concerning for them that they've gone and dropped both of those games. That, like, just looking kind of at the table now, they're not out of things by any means, but if they'd picked up some points in those two games, they'd have been right up there with the teams challenging at the very top.
Yep. The thing about Colts, I think we kind of called the decline.
Mm-hmm.
Even before the BSC game, which we both attended, the league game, they didn't really play well against. I think it was Whitehill Welfare, and I forget the other team, but they weren't. They've not been playing well recently, and it's obviously a wee bit worrying now that they were grinding out results.
Yeah.
Now they're not really getting anything from games, and they're a good side. We both know they're a decent side at this level, but I don't know if the heads have just dropped a wee bit, and it's starting to look like maybe they're going to go down, while other teams like Gretna, as I said, are now picking up their form, and it's pretty much anyone's game at the middle to the sort of top end of the table. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it was Stirling University, if I remember rightly, that they squeezed a 1-goal win beforehand. But they've had a wee injury or two there. I think the concerning thing for them, though, is they're not scoring the same goals that they've been scoring all season. Like, since they beat, it was Stirling Uni, I've just double checked here. Since they beat them 1-0, they got a couple of goals in that game we attended against BSC, one of which was just an utter World Davis strike.
Yep.
But since then, they've only scored like a goal the game after that. They didn't score against Edinburgh Uni and won against Gretna, so they're relying on Sean Brown and Fraser Team to kind of pick up the slack again, and it might be time to get the other boys to chip in and give them a hand.
Definitely, mate. And we'll go on to Gala, another team near the border. They were playing University of Stirling. They won 3-1. Craig O'Reilly brace, all in the second half again, by the way, just if anyone's keeping track. Craig O'Reilly 56 in the 75th minute, and Dale Baxter in the 70th minute for Gala Ferradine, and Lewis Bonner for University of Stirling right at the end, getting a consolation in the 87th minute. Both teams, I mean, I really like both teams. I think I've made it known that Gala have a bit of a soft spot for them, and obviously University of Stirling. One thing, I don't think we've really talked about this, Mozza. I know we have, like, not on the pod, but obviously I think the uni teams need a wee bit more respect, I think. I know University of Stirling look like they're obviously down at the moment. I think they're 13th, if I remember correctly. But,
yeah, that's right.
A lot of people probably don't realise that these guys actually play pretty much 2 games every week rather than the normal one, because the 1s and 2s obviously have their university competitions. Before the Scottish Cup game, I noticed that they were down in Birmingham playing one of the uni teams down there. So I think Chris Geddes and the like are obviously doing a fantastic job to even sort of be competitive in the Lowland League. I think they need to get credit. That's not taking anything away from Gala, who are obviously doing fantastic as well. And I know he never got on the score sheet this week, but apparently Rory Payton came on and he obviously changed the game. Obviously not with goal scoring, but it looks like he's obviously set up a lot of his teammates to come on in the second half and basically get a decent win over Stirling Uni.
He's had a hell of an impact, hasn't he?
Yep.
Since he came in on loan. He's been fantastic for Gala, and he's kind of knitting things together, because it wasn't too long ago now that we were talking about they need to get gelling that team together and get moving. They didn't start too well, but they're really getting there now, and I'm glad to see it, because, well, like yourself, I've got a wee bit of a soft spot for the Rovers as well. I love the way they're run as a proper community club, like many others in the league. But that point you make about University of Stirling's really valid, because especially, I think we did mention it in the wake of when they went up north in the Scottish Cup and they got a result at Devonvale. Given that they were down in Birmingham that midweek and then went all the way up there and got that, it shows you, well, it's a fantastic achievement for them. And the Bucks competitions are just as important to them as the Lowland League. Don't get any kind of ideas that one's more important than the other, because ultimately for universities that's your bragging rights as well.
Yep.
So they've done cracking both Edinburgh and University of Stirling have done cracking in the last couple of years to maintain their challenges on both fronts. And yeah, as the kind of Lowland League ticks on towards, say, the second half of the season onwards and the university campaign winds down a bit, it wouldn't surprise me to see them picking up a few more points towards the end of the season than what they've been doing up to this point.
Definitely. Edisport versus Civil Service Strollers. Edisport won 2-0. It was a early goal in the 8th minute for Jean-Guy Lucas. I don't know if you saw this on their Twitter, mate, but it was a fantastic team goal. It was literally sort of total football, a fantastic team goal to open the score on. Civil Service did have a goal a few minutes later, but it was ruled offside. And Matty Flynn in the second half in the 59th minute sealed it for Edisport. And but Civil Service had their chances, but that's a fantastic win for Edisport. And just on a personal note, I think I've probably been a wee bit harsh on Edisport. I've said that I think I've kind of been a wee bit harsh, not give them all the credit they've deserved. Certainly because they are still in the top half of the table, and they're still in that, looking like they have played a game extra than a lot of the teams up where they are, but they are still looking like a decent side, a threatening side when they want to be.
Yeah, and bear in mind this is only a year removed from their first ever season at Lowland League level. So they came up from the south of Scotland, having not been formed too long, and had to adjust. This season we're seeing them as a comfortable team at this level, and the way they've kind of adjusted things in the first team, that they've got a few more experienced heads with the younger guys breaking through into the team, is really paying dividends for them overall. Like, the league table doesn't lie, and they're sitting fifth with 19 points on the board, so they're making moves, they're doing really well. And I don't think it's the case that we've been harsh as such on them. It's just that we've been waiting for them to get a bit of a run of form together, because it's been in and out as things have gone on. That's a proper yardstick though, beating Civil Service, given that they've just came off the best result of their season against Kilby last week. So that goal as well was arguably one of the best you'll see at this level this season.
Definitely.
If we hadn't seen the Cumbernauld Colts goal a few weeks before, I'd have probably put John Guy Lucas up at the top there. But if you've not seen it, get onto their Twitter and have a look, because it's an absolute stunner. Not just kind of as a goal on its own, it's a proper team move, which is what I love about it. It shows for any, like, I've seen a couple of folk kind of doubting this level and doubting the talent ability levels purely based on crowd numbers, and you'll probably know who I'm referring to if you're on Twitter. But that just shows that this league has more than enough quality to justify its place, and it's only getting better.
Just a note on that, mate. I was going to actually discuss that towards the end. I'm sure we'll get into it, but
I'm sure we will.
Yep. I'm known at times to rant, so I was leaving that till the end.
I'll hold you back.
So, last game, Kilty Hearts drew 1-1 with Spartans. A fantastic game, very tough. Obviously, I was at the game. This one was a bit weird. Spartans at their best defensively, I think. It's been, in fairness, I think a few weeks. They obviously conceded against Gala, 3, and then I think this the week before they obviously conceded a fair bit in the cup as well. So they were back to their best against Kilty. I think the goal that they had was a wee bit against the run of play. It was a bit end to end, but I think the first half Kilty were possibly the better team. But they got a goal. Corner headed in by Blair Tommy just before half time on 39 minutes. The second half, I would say Spartans were the better team. It was a really weird one, but they did get a penalty. Kilty got a penalty in the 71st minute. It was Scott Maxwell tackle on Stuart Cargill. I know the Spartans Twitter guy didn't think it was a penalty, but certainly if you look at the highlights, it was a clear penalty in my opinion. And obviously Stephen Husband, who had a fantastic game actually, converted it for the draw. Just a note on this, Gary Chenarazzo, who I rate very highly. It was my second time seeing him. He's a fantastic defender, for Spartans, and I tell you what,
Yep.
he's probably one of the best defenders in the league in my opinion. Every time I see this guy, he's a standout player in that Spartans lineup, and I know they are known for their defence. Blair Carswell had a great game as well. And just on the side of Kelty, as I say, Spartans are more known for their defence as such, but certainly Kelty had a really good game in defence. Murray Carstairs, Errol Douglas was fantastic. It was more of a different game for them because we know what they can do, attacking wise. Certainly the battle between Stuart Cargill and Gary Chenarazzo, they did have words in the second half, but what an interesting battle that was. And just one more note on Kelty, young Liam Kelly, who I've seen a lot of this season playing for the Kelty under-20s. He's breaking into the first team at Kelty. He's adds something completely different to the Kelty lineup. He's only a youngster and he's fantastic, and he more than held his own against a really decent Spartans team. A very creative young player, and hoping to see more of him in the Kelty first team, definitely.
Yeah, it's something we've touched on. The Kelty seem to be really good at bringing through the young boys, and especially this season, one or two of them are beginning to make their way in, which is always brilliant to see. But do you know, I'm going to call you out on something here, because I must say I do rate Gary more than I rate your pronunciation skills. So I'm going to go with Chenarazzo, so tell me if I'm doing that right or no, guys. But he's a cracking fullback at this level. He's arguably capable of playing at League 2 or League 1 level, I think. When you see him, he's so composed and solid. He just never looks like he'll make a mistake.
No.
He's so comfortable where he is. And I think he knows it as well. He almost exudes it to his teammates, which obviously helps. But just a little side point. It might have kind of gone under the radar slightly, because obviously we know what Spartans are and we know what they're all about. But that's now 6 games on the spin in all competitions that they've not won in.
I know.
So it's it's some run. Like you don't associate that with them at all. And I know obviously they had their couple of 3-1 reverses. They then got a draw against Edgy Sport before this one. But it's not a great run.
No.
And it's not really something that I've considered until I did my research for this today. So obviously Kelty sit proudly atop the league just now. East Kilbride will take that position off them if they win their game in hand. But that's Spartans are sitting now 4 points off of Kelty. And given that they've not won in a wee while, going all the way back to September time now, they need to find their way back up the table by getting back in form again.
Yeah, definitely. I think one to note on this. I think both teams were happy with the result. I would say certainly Spartans wouldn't have wanted to lose this one, but in fairness to Kelty Hearts, it's their first time playing the Lowland League champions this season, and a lot of people tend to forget this. Kelty Hearts have just came into the league. I know it's results and obviously their manager now Barry Ferguson and everything. But people have got to remember, they're a team that's just came up in this league, and they're more than holding their own. And I'm sure he won't mind me saying, but having spoke to Ian Thompson, he was more than happy with the draw against the champions last year. And I would agree with him, because at the end of the day, it was a tough shift for both teams. And either way, I mean, towards the end of the game, I think Kelty or Spartans could have won it, really. But I think towards the end, I think both teams would have been happy with the draw, I would say. Spartans, yeah, I mean, Spartans, for me, obviously they're a wee bit, as you mentioned, a wee bit on the downhill at the moment, but certainly they've got the quality enough to go out and get wins. The thing is, what I was going to make actually, Mozza, Kelty and Spartans, I don't think both of the teams were at their best in this game. Right. And it's the same with Kelty that I saw the week before. They were against Gala, and certainly in the second half, I don't think they were at their best. And this is no disrespect to the other teams in this league, but the likes of Kilby, Kelty Hearts, Spartans, sometimes they don't have to be at their best to win games. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I was just going to say the other thing to bear in mind with Spartans, given that we're touching on this run they're on, their next 2 games are away to BSC Glasgow and at home to East Stirlingshire. So it's not going to get any easier for them. Albeit, we've said Shire aren't in fantastic form just now, but they're still more than capable on their day. So it's can I get to the point where, like, well, it's time to stand proud and defend your crown and get some wins on the board. Put it that way, and I'm sure they'll be keen to do so and kind of make sure that anything I say at this point will be firmly put right by the time we're next talking.
Yep, and just a note, obviously BSC never played this week, but I've mentioned it before. They're doing fantastically well. Swifties really got that team together, and I'm sure they'll be, they're up there as well in terms of teams that are challenging. But let's get on to what we touched on earlier, the whole debate about the Lowland League and this stuff, right? Attendance-wise, there was 545 at the Kelty game, and we both know that Kelty, even before Barry Ferguson came on board, had really decent attendances, home and away, it doesn't matter. And yes, there has been a few comments on Twitter. This is personal opinion before anyone... I'm not going to go on a mad rant or anything, but if you look at the league, right, 5 points separating the top 6 sides, and only 4 points separating the sides from 7th down to 13th. If you're looking at attendance figures to determine whether football's quality or not, I think you're a wee bit daft. Simply because if you look at the likes of Spartans, they were champions last year. Their attendances are not the best, and are not best compared to other teams. And I think it's unfair to judge them that solely, because you've got the likes of Hibs, Hearts, civil service strollers around them, Edinburgh City. In terms of the other clubs like BSC, they've only been around for a few years. It'll take many years for them to build a fan base, certainly. And I don't think it's fair to suggest that attendance figures determines the quality of a football league. And the comments, negative comments, basically saying it's a bit of a joke or whatever, I think it's really, really, not nice on the people that help run these clubs and help put a wonderful job on for the teams and whatnot. I mean, it's a bit of a shocker, having said... I'm not going to point out... Yeah, I'm not going to point anything out, but...
Yeah, I think it's a bit kind of... It's the old, like, turning your nose up idea. It's something that is still new, the Lowland League. So people are always going to kind of be like, right, if they're not aware of it, they'll turn their nose a little bit up at it, and so on. At this point, we should really point out David Seaver on Twitter. You'll see him at On Hand Handyman. Is a man that gathers all these attendance figures, and all power to him for doing it, because it must be an absolutely thankless task. But if you look at the average attendance and head count, I mean, you've got Kelty at the top. Spartans are also over 300, by the way, so they're only 1 or 2 behind Kelty when you look at the averages.
I had a talk with David. It was mainly because of the Betfred Cup.
Which makes sense. So, and then you've got Kilby, Stirlingshire and Gallifreydine, interestingly, kind of hovering between the early 200s and the late 100s. But at the end of the day, it comes down to on the park. And we're getting to a point now where things are getting put in place. We're hopefully going to have a full pyramid in the not too distant future. But you've got to earn your way as a club up the leagues, and it doesn't matter how many people you've got coming to see you every week. It doesn't matter kind of how established you are in your history and so on. In the next 5 or 10 years, we're going to get to a stage, I'm pretty confident, that every senior and junior club is part of this pyramid, and things will work themselves out over time. And it's always been that way. But yeah, it's something that's also prevalent in the higher leagues we need to be kind of conscious of as well. Like, you look at Dundee United, fans will bite back at certain clubs by going, yeah, but where's your fans? You know, it's this kind of outdated notion that, we've got more fans, so we deserve to be in a certain place. And I think the sooner we kind of get out of that mentality, the better, because you've just got to recognise certain clubs, most likely on more meagre means, are doing better with it, and fair play to them, and they're doing it on the field where they should be doing it. And I'm quietly confident that when the Scottish Cup ties roll round, and we've got a fair few Lowland teams still in there, now facing SPFL opposition, they've already shown that they're capable of competing at that level. Like we were saying about Whitehill Welfare, they went up to Elgin and gave them a cracking game. So when you base it on that, there's certainly not a big difference between this tier, and we need to include the Highland League in that as well, because they've taken steps forward, especially when you look at the evidence of the Cup. And I know they're one-off games and can't be used as evidence as such, but there's a clear level of talent there that over the next wee while is going to give a lot of those League 2 teams some nightmares as they approach the bottom of that league.
Yep. Just to finish this, Mozza, I think just in terms of non-league, I know, again, personal opinion, I think it's more of a, it's kind of almost like a West versus East or Central Belt sort of thing. There's like non-league teams like Pollock, for example, who are very, very well supported. But you have to, as I mentioned, obviously, you have to look at location. Pollock have been around 100 odd years or so. I don't think it's a fair comparison to compare them to the likes of Edasport, for example, who have not been around for very long in terms of attendance.
No, it's a totally different comparison. But the other thing is, we're all non-league. So instead of being kind of playing tit for tat, we should be celebrating the fact that Pollock get absolutely brilliant attendances. And there seems to be a bit of a kind of, I don't know, almost like a suspicion between non-league senior and non-league junior just now. The point's going to come where everything's the same. So there's no point in doing, kind of getting the calculators out and playing that game. We're all non-league. We should all be equally supporting each other. And when any of us get a result against a league team in the Cup, or any of us are pushing up to higher levels, give them the support, absolutely. It's all the same game at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yeah, I just felt that had to be addressed because, as I say, I think it was a bit. It wasn't right for, as I say, the clubs, the league can speak for itself. It does with the quality, the affordability on the park, but it's mainly for the people involved in the clubs. I think that's a bit of a. It's not really fair on them to say them sort of things, because the hard work that they put in, and I'm speaking for the whole of non-league football here. It's an opinion that I don't agree with, and certainly if I don't agree with something, I'm pretty much like everyone else. I'll say a really ignorant opinion, and it's a bit silly, really, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, till we get to the point that people that only know about the top 4 leagues in this country actually realise there's leagues below it, that's going to happen. There's going to be ill-informed opinions there, and it's just part of the way football is, isn't it? It's like you'll get some fans that only care about the top leagues. You'll get some fans that will only care about the SPFL, and then so on and so forth. It's just one of these things. But it would also be remiss of us, now that we're talking about kind of senior, junior, league, non-league, to also give a shout out to the women's football just now that's taking really good steps forward. And I'm sure Football Nomad wouldn't forgive us if we didn't mention it. But I'm kind of getting sidetracked here because I've just noticed it's the Scottish Women's Cup final on right now, and it just happens to be 6-0 at half time to Hibs. So plenty of entertainment, plenty of goals there as well.
That's Rampant's rant over.
I sense a new segment.
No, I think again, everyone that follows my Twitter probably would have seen what was said, and I know a lot of people had similar opinions to myself about what was said, and I don't really want to go out and bash at people that have them opinions, but it's a sensible. Let's have a sensible conversation on it and say, well, I think civil service done an absolute smashing job of interacting with the person that said that. Come along to the games, give us absolutely a chance. But anyway, swiftly moving on.
I was just going to say, that was a nice little link to drop in your Twitter account.
Swiftly moving on, and funny enough that this no pun intended on the first fixture that I'm going to read out. South Challenge Cup action next weekend. We are going to be taking a bit of a break. I think we'll come back for the next Lowland League set of fixtures. But certainly the South Challenge Cup. We'll probably come back for probably deeper in the tournament, I think, mate. We'll cover that a wee bit later on. But yeah, as I said, no pun intended, we'll go through the fixtures. It's Jeanfield Swifts versus University of Stirling, Sauchie versus Edinburgh University, Newton Grange Star versus Civil Service Strollers, Lothian Thistle Hutchie Vale versus Cumbernauld Colts, East Kilbride versus Preston Athletic, BSC Glasgow versus Bonnyrigg Rose, East Stirlingshire versus Linlithgow Rose, and Gretna 2008 versus Camelin, or however people pronounce it.
I believe Camelin is the right spelling. They did teach me that last time I was there.
We did have a bit of a word with them. How do you pronounce it? Any of them sort of stand out for you in terms of South Challenge Cup, mate?
I think it's a BSC game that stands out to me. BSC Bonnyrigg, because there's Bonnyrigg, arguably the best team in the East of Scotland League. If you're just looking at kind of their squad and what they did the season before they moved over. They played against each other in pre-season, and obviously things have changed a fair bit since then, but Bonnyrigg looked a very, very good side in that pre-season game, and it'll be really interesting. Now BSC have kind of got a lot of the injury bugs gone. There's still one or two guys that are played out of the side, but yeah, it'll be a really interesting comparison, I think, between the top end of East of Scotland and, well, BSC would now, you'd kind of say, top half to top 5 or 6 in the Lowland.
Yep. For me, there's I could choose any fixture here. I think Genefield Swiss versus University of Stirling's an interesting one, given the fact that Genefield Swiss have had some really good results in the competitions for over Lowland League sides. Lothian Thistle Hutchie Vale, very decent East of Scotland side against a struggling Colts at the moment. That could be an interesting one to keep an eye out for. East Stirlingshire versus Linlithgow Rose. I think everyone at this level knows that Linlithgow Rose are a fairly decent side, and I'm surprised you never mentioned Gretna 2008 versus Camelin either, mate. I know you've got a bit of a,
Yeah, I do like Camelin, I must admit, and obviously anyone that follows me on Twitter would notice that as well, that every so often I'll drop my wee mention. But again, it's another club that does this level absolutely right. Proper community club, doing the right thing, getting the kids involved, and I actually think that's a really interesting tussle, that, given that Gretna are now on the upswing as well. So it's a fair journey for Camelin, right enough. But we'll keep an eye on that one as well, absolutely.
Yep, so that pretty much brings the end of another episode of the Lowland League Catch-Up. We'll do plugs now, and I'll let you go first, as I always do.
So, yeah, nice and simple. You'll find me on Twitter at Mozza Plays. And how about your good self?
At Rampant Rant on... at Rampant FM on Twitter, as always. So that brings another episode, mate. It's obviously great chatting to you about this fantastic league we get to cover every week. Apart from next week where we're going to take a bit of a break, but we want to thank everyone that contributes to the show, listens, views. George Fraser, who's very supportive, Michael Park as well. It's always fantastic to cover the league, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks. We'll see you soon.
See you then.